Good morning, everybody. We are doing our very first Wisdom Wednesday with all 5 offices of the Century 21 Millennium brokerage. This is our quick agenda. I just want to introduce Kevin and Josee to the Brampton and the Orangeville folks. You guys already know it. We talked a lot about them. And I'll mention who I am to the north, although I think some of them may already know me as well. And then we're going to touch on the market stats. They just came out for GTA down here. I think you guys always get them a little bit earlier, which is frustrating. Kevin's always first. But he got those stats a couple of days ago. So we'll go into that. Want to talk about the DNA of buyers and sellers right now in both markets. We're halfway through the year. Have you achieved your goal yet? And what are your goals for the next 6 months? We're going to touch on a couple of tools that might help. Kevin and I, when we sit down, we talk about the business and where we want to take it. Just like your business as a realtor, you'll always, I think, and we always find ourselves starting with, hey, what are we doing well? What do we need to improve on? And a SWOT analysis, which we'll jump into, really kind of sets the stage of where you're at. You can't get to a destination if you don't know where you're at right now. So we'll touch on that from an agent standpoint, and then kind of the actions that we'll go through. And I've got a couple points. Hopefully we can squeeze this in the end. In November, some big events happening for Easter seals, and then we're going to touch on some of the progress for the website. So that's our agenda. Can we get it all in? What do you think, Mom? Can we do it all today?
Oh, we can do it. We can do it as long as we can keep it exciting for everybody. But actually, these stats are extremely important to your business practice. So I think we can hold your attention.
We should be able to do it. Let me just introduce Kevin and Josee. Proper introductions. I got a lot of pictures here of you guys. Just so you know, for everybody in Brampton and Orangeville, Kevin and Josee are our business partners in the North operations. They have really just taken that bull by the horn and made it their own business up there, their own identity, and they have far exceeded the expectations of the team here. So we're grateful to them. But both are broker managers, partners of the North operations. They've been running a successful team since 2017 themselves as top performers as well. I just kind of, again, we've got the Thornbury, Wasaga Beach, and Collingwood office. I'll dive a little bit more into the website there. One thing that as any business owner in real estate, you, as a real estate agent as well too, you want to be top of mind of people. What they're doing in that community, engaging there is just phenomenal. I put a little screenshot of what happened in the winter time around Christmas, and there's a whole article and CTV News, and they were posted on it.
Yeah.
And they're just doing those sorts of initiatives, just getting noticed, not because of any vanity. Sincerely, it's not, but they're doing things for the community up there that really matter. And they're responding as well too. They're really a fabric, part of the fabric up there. So that's Kevin and Josee.
Thanks, Trevor.
Yeah.
Only one small correction. Josee and I were a team since 2012, but we added Sandy in 2017, our executive assistant, and now one of our lead concierge who's doing some training right now in our training room. And I'll have to say that I was #1 in Century 21 offer long before Joanne in my 3rd year of real estate. So. Yeah. We feel like, you know, we understood the market up here a little bit better from when we started way back then.
But okay, so, and you know, Kevin, I have to interrupt you and say, yes, all that is true. And certainly your production was outstanding. But I have to tell you, the reason that you two got chosen as the business partners for up north is because nobody parties like the two of you.
Yeah, they take it to a different level.
They've got such magnetic personalities, and you know, you are loved by your group of agents. And again, the things that you've been doing in that community far outshine your production.
So thanks, Joanne. Yeah, we're actually really excited for our little barbecue we're doing tomorrow, but it'll be our first non-alcoholic event because we do party too much. But I made I made Jose a promise a little while back that not every event would be based around a huge drinking party. So we are going to try and do some physical activity ones and hikes. And tomorrow's Q2 barbecue is going to be a barbecue in the park at Sunset Point, and it's popping water.
Okay.
And I guess maybe sippy cups.
Or bring your own sippy cups of whatever you like.
Love it. So many times I will say this, and then we'll move on to the next slide. I've had agents that from Brampton or Orangeville kind of going up into the territory of Collingwood, Thornbury, Wasaga, and you could totally do that. The agents down here are doing that. But I do encourage people, if you can connect with a local agent in these cities and you're going to be working on a listing, there just really isn't. I know the world seems like it's gotten a little bit smaller over COVID with technologies, and then people can drive anywhere and everywhere. But boy, you can't beat the local knowledge in that community. I'm not going to harp on that too much. If there's ever an opportunity where you can refer business out, I think you should do it. I really believe that. As well, I have had support from Kevin where I'm like, hey, Kev, these guys are working up here, but I need someone to kind of run with them. Or you can answer a couple questions, but this is, again, this is part of the value of the Millennium brokerage. Mom had a dream, Joanne had a dream, and it was from the Brampton right up the Highway 10 corridor, and that vision is really coming to fruition, and I think as part of the accolades of reaching number 19 in the world last year, that vision really worked out. So anyway, so market statistics. If you guys didn't already know, we have a changing market. I'm going to go through kind of the South down here, and then I'll pass over to Kev with his stats as well too. I'm not going to go through all the details. These stats will actually be loaded up at some point on the Facebook group. But look at that number there, 1.25. I always look at detached houses. I mean, there's more than detached houses in the real estate market. I get it, but to me, it's kind of like it's just a good measuring stick. But 1.245 in comparison to last month, it was 1.355, and at the height of the market, which was February, I think we were at 165 or something like that. So we have drastically dropped in the average prices, but right across the board, we're seeing that for all products. I don't see much positive. Orangeville, you do see a positive. Orangeville being a little bit smaller of a community, you do see a little bit more volatility, the ups and downs, but still, it's a market where there's lots of opportunities if you're a buyer, and if you're a seller, man, you are really frustrated. I was speaking to an agent who is probably holding about 5 listings down here, just frustrated. He's got some staging, he's got investments there. He's doing a good job of managing the expectations and his costs there, but it's a different market than it was in February. And regardless what's happening in the market, our job is not controlling these numbers. We just relay the information. And we'll talk a little bit more about why that information, how we can relay that information a little bit better to help with our marketing. But these are the statistics for Mississauga, Orangeville, Caledon, and Brampton. I'll post those on the group as well too. Kevin, these are your regions. If you kind of want to just touch base on these areas.
Yeah, this was something that we started off very early, and I have to give the credit. Thanks for saying that I'm always out first. I know I'm a very competitive guy. So thanks to Sandy and Victoria, who I think that the first of the month at about 8 a.m., Sandy's usually got them over for us to review, and Victoria's got them up very quickly. And that's just me being competitive with you, and our competitors up here as well. So we found that, one thing that I really want to do, and the thing that I really want to touch on with stats is, we simplified them a little bit from what you guys put out down south because I wanted it to be a conversational piece. And I think the most important thing about stats is they can be skewed to a number of different small things, especially when you get into the smaller communities like we have up north, where a couple of $3 or $5 million waterfront sales can all of a sudden skew that average home price. And if you don't really look into the numbers and you don't really drill down and understand it, then it can actually trip you up in a listing or seller or just a sphere of influence conversation. So what I always challenge my coworkers, the agents up here to do is to really take this little snippet and start a conversation, but don't hide from the numbers. This isn't a time to be hiding away from your sphere of influence and from your buyers and sellers. They're looking for insight, they're looking for information, and they're looking for you to actually have the answers. And that's where I think it's really important to take a small bit of this, but challenge you to know the market, know the numbers, also know what's going on even in the financial markets in order to understand and correlate. Everybody's talking recession, recession, recession. What does a recession mean for real estate? What happened in past recessions? I mean, have a conversational piece. You don't have to be an expert, but you need to be able to have a conversation. And it starts with what's happening in real estate in my general market. And that's where I think these are such great tools that we're putting out quickly into the local communities on our Facebook and on our social media posts. And if I was you, I would be reposting them out onto your own Facebook in order to get the conversation started in your farm area or in your sphere of influence, because they're like, oh, what did that mean? What has changed? And you know, the biggest thing that I notice in these is how many homes sold and how many new listings. We were down to 0.8 of a month of inventory for 8 months, maybe 12 months. And now you're seeing that you've got, you know, way more listings holding. So where we're at around 2.5 months of inventory. That's still a seller's market. Just the pricing needs to be correct. So, you know, we're not at 6 or 8 months. You know, do you remember, you know, the days gone by, not too far long ago, where we were 6 to 8 months worth of inventory, and, you know, you were really going for those extra initials on your listing agreement so that you get a 9-month listing, you know what I mean, to work on it. So I just think it's important to take a look at the stats and then build your own pitch and understand what you're saying to people and be the expert.
Hey, Kev, just curious, when someone comes up to this area, and I'm generalizing, this is a massive area, Blue Mountain is completely different than Collingwood, but they're side by side, I get it. But like, what's hot right now in your market up there? Like, what's the product that people are being pulled to?
Well, I still think I'd love any one of my top agents that are on here to jump in as well. Feel free at any time. But I mean, I still think good homes, well priced and in the right locations and residential homes are still in high demand. Investor speculation is definitely, you know, I mean, they've all taken a pause. Although the short-term rental accommodations, which are the Airbnbs and the investment style properties, are still showing, although some a little bit slower, and the people that have priced it $200,000 more than the last sale are not seeing the action. But well-priced investment properties that will return an income are still in high demand. And affordable, you know what I mean? We've had a real trouble of not having a single property under $600,000 for probably a year and a half, and some selling above $600,000 that weren't $600,000 homes. And I think those speculative buys and those fear of losing out, there was a real sense of people losing out on a real bull market, a real hot market, and they were causing this bid up. And I think that has ceased. So there's an opportunity now for people to do home inspections, to be a little bit more traditional, to negotiate a little bit. And that $500,000 home that was selling for $600,000 is getting back down close to $500,000. So I just think that what we were in a pattern of doing is looking at the comparables and adding, you know what I mean, adding 5 or 10% and putting it on the market and still getting action. And then the next day, a similar product comes on and it was another 5 or 10%. I never got in that habit, but since about February, really March for us, we're about 30 days behind you. We've seen a decline in that increase part, but we're still seeing strong sales. You know, we're still seeing, you know, a good sell through all the way across the market. And we're seeing some more affordable homes come, you know, or affordable prices, I guess, come back into play.
Yeah. Hey, who's your big short-term rental agent? I mean, I'm sure you have a few, but like who's on the call right now that you need to touch on that? Because short-term rentals, I can't tell you how many times I've seen agents mess up in that scenario. And again, if you're from an area, you know which areas are short-term rentals, you know which houses, you know how to check on that. Who's a go-to short-term rental agent on this call.
He was on the call.
Eva, you there?
I'm here. Yep, I'm here. You won't believe how many people have called me up after they've purchased through another agent and said that they're basically bought the house for a short-term rental and they're going to apply for it through the town. And I had to tell them the bad news that they can't rent it out short-term. So there's our rules up here are really strict. And on the town website, it makes it seem like you might be able to apply for a license for a house, but they're not gonna allow it, the town. It just causes too much havoc in residential areas that they won't approve it.
Yeah. I also saw Eva today. Did you notice on the Collingwood today that the property across from the 6th hole on Montero Road got denied? So they actually went to the council and tried to change the zoning in order to allow for it, and the council 6-1 struck it down. So I don't think there's any way of getting around it. There's been a few anomalies, but it's a very, very difficult process that very few agents, I think there's probably 20 of us out of all brokerages that have really dealt a lot in the short-term accommodations, and the bylaws are very stringent and the fines are huge. First fine is $3,500 now, I think it is, and 3 years a ban of even getting a license, and if you caught twice, it's $5,000 per day. So if you get caught over a 3-day weekend, that could be a $15,000 fine to the homeowner. So,
and the town is really good at trolling. Like they check Airbnb. I had a client that actually, he rented it for 2 months to a lady out of Newmarket. And then she was the one that subletted it and put it on Airbnb. And the town was there the first day of the rental. So they're right on top of it.
Wow. And Eva, I just want to introduce you to everybody. You are in the Thornbury office, correct?
Correct. Well, I specialize mostly in Blue Mountains.
Right.
So right around the village area.
And Eva was one of our four Grand Centurions. I want to say 4. No, we had 3. 4 or 3. But she's one of the top performers in the entire company. So
in her first year here.
How does that happen? What a year.
Look at that. What a year. It was good.
Not
now,
first
Eva,
year.
I just wanted to ask, because the town is not going to allow new short-term rentals, is this keeping the value of the current ones? Is that, like, as a listing opportunity, is that keeping the value higher in the short-term rental product?
Yeah, especially for houses. It does keep a value. So if a normal house sells for like a certain amount, we usually do 50,000 a bedroom to add to it with that short-term rental. And then in the pockets of where you can do short-term rentals, the condos and stuff, they're kind of, what's happening with those is they're not selling as quickly as they used to, because with a 6% mortgage, the return on investment doesn't work anymore.
Yep.
So,
yeah, that's interesting. And you know, when we see our market starting to change, as it has been changing, you will find certain pockets that still retain a value, or a certain product that retains a value. So really interesting if you've got that opportunity to speak to someone who's got expertise in that area before you proceed.
Yeah,
that's great, Eva.
I just want to pause for a sec, because I you know, as Kevin and I banter back and forth here, I definitely do want to open it up. Like, anybody got any questions for either Eva here, or you know, vice versa, from the folks up north? Any questions or comments on the market stats and what the markets are doing? Is there any questions at this point or comments? I'll throw this one thing in. I mean, we're hearing, Kev, I don't know if it's happening up there as much. And Rod, you can kind of touch on this as well too, but we've got deals that aren't appraising down in the GTA area. I would say we're roughly about, you know, 70-80%. And I feel like I just made that up, but like 70-80% of properties are not appraising if they've sold in March or April, in comparison to what lenders are comfortable selling today. So we're seeing you better have a really strong lender or mortgage broker that you're working with, number one. And number two, and it came up a couple of times yesterday when I was in the office in conversation, your lawyer. has to be just as knowledgeable and aware of the circumstances your particular seller is in, based on letting a deal fall apart or fighting for that deal, and just informing and representing. Because like in real estate, no two agents are alike, and they're not all equal. Same as in the brokerage, mortgage brokerage arena, and especially in the legal arena. I had an agent yesterday, just like Trevor. This is a new lawyer. She's struggling to give advice. I want to jump in, and I know I shouldn't, because they're representing on a legal standpoint, but man, I wish I went and recommended a different lawyer to them. And that's really true. But Kev, are you seeing that that same kind of scenario up north as well too right now?
I'd have to reach out and ask some of the agents more so, or even Ian, to see what they're saying with that. I know that banks are definitely, and appraisers are tightening up. We're still within the 90-day window of some very good sales, because again, we run 30 to 60 days behind you guys. When you take off, we're all excited because in 2 months we're going to take off. And while you guys slow down, I think starting around February, we started about a month later, and even still with the spring market, I feel like we sustained some of those top end prices. So I feel that we're still getting the appraisals and they're still coming in. I would love some input if anyone's had any trouble with appraising.
There's a question here from the front desk there. Can you successfully stipulate in an agreement that the appraisal needs to happen within 2 weeks of firming up? Okay. Hey, Rod, that seems like a great question for you to answer there.
But I think what you want to do when someone's entering into these types of agreements is to get on the appraisal right away. Don't wait, because as the numbers keep adjusting, you want to make sure that you're not missing out. And fortunately, I haven't had any that haven't come in. But a lot, and some lenders are using auto appraisals. So they have systems internally that, they don't even necessarily send an appraiser to the market. But if you have to, that's the one thing I always find out, because if an appraisal is required, we order it right away.
Yeah. And we're seeing that on deals, whoever that was that asked that great question. We're seeing that, if you get a conditional deal for financing for 5 days, sometimes the bank is going in and trying to get that appraisal within that time period as well too, which is kind of cool. You know what? I would welcome that, because you don't want to be in a different market selling it. Agent here sold in, it's JP's deal. What was it? They sold in April, I think it was 1.05. And I think they're listing around, the deal fell apart just last week, and they're listing probably around the $900,000 mark. So you don't want to be in that situation. You want the appraisal and all the confirmations done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and I think that's an advantage, to get out. And I remember back, pre-COVID and even pre-2017, when that was a very intricate part of the negotiations, is to get that appraisal done as part of the financing. So I think it's just a matter of getting on it. And one of the advantages of maybe using a mortgage broker is the fact that they are often the ones that are pushing to move that appraisal forward. So I think that,
we as brokers, mortgage brokers, like to see that there's conditions now, because firm offers, it's difficult to work with at times, but, in an upward trend, like we were having issues when places were listed for $599 and people were paying $750 in Guelph, for example. And I was concerned about the values, and we didn't have any issues then because the appraisers are struggling with what comps can they use to do their CMAs, right?
Yep. Coolio. Okay, back to our little prez here. Can I go? I feel like we're shifting through so many gears in this session. Apologies if it's not as smooth, but we are now 6 months through 2022. Have you hit your goals? Are you on track of hitting your goals? It's rhetorical. I get it, but I wanted, as you guys are fully aware, it's not 12 months you get in 2022. You probably get, maybe 11 months, because any deals you write in November typically are going to close in the following year. So we really are more than halfway done our year. But it's something to be said, whatever your goals are that you're setting for yourself, make sure you have a really strong understanding of why you're doing that. You've heard these speeches before, but if it's strong enough, what's happening, at least down here, Kev, is we've seen sales drop, 30, 40, 50% as far as the number of transactions. When that's happening, along with the price reduction as a reflection, my commissions are not going to be as great as a realtor. And any coach right now in the industry of real estate, whether it be on a business side, on the real estate transaction side, or team side, the message is very clear. It's now time to not just double down or triple down. You got to quadruple down on your marketing efforts. It's not a reactionary industry. It's a totally different marketplace if you got in the business in the last 5 years. So I just wanted to kind of lay that.
Definitely. And I had a thing on here in the goals, and I was just saying that, it's two things. One, yes, halfway through the year. And I know that at the end of Q1, I was, we were talking about that. And this is normally a time where we're, on a normal basis, but the market is changing. And so if you've hit your goals for your Q2, what are your plans in order to hit your goal that you set for Q3 and Q4? And some of that is just understanding this and making sure, like you said, I was listening to some coaching stuff too, and they were all talking about that people that really, grow big businesses often are done in times of transition, when they adapt, when they change, when they have a plan. And it's a real big time to be measuring what you're doing and being cognizant. This is the time where real estate turns sort of from hey, I'm doing really well, and I'm, talking to some people, and I'm getting some listens and selling, to really getting down to a more of a 9-to-5 style job, where you're like, okay, I'm going to schedule some time. I'm going to make those calls. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to get my numbers in line. I'm going to understand, what happened. When someone says, okay, what happened? What happened in the last recession? You're able to answer that. What do you think the forecast is? May not have a crystal ball, but if you just say, I don't know, then they're going to be looking for someone that maybe does know. So this next 2 quarters, and I wanted to, talk a little bit about, even historical data, and what happened, you know what I mean? So Q1, and I don't know, I think that I'm outside of my league here because I wasn't in real estate in 1989, but I've been reading a lot and hearing a lot of comparisons to the market and what happened in that last correction. And they had a Q1 that was a boomer. They had a Q2 that was flat. They had a Q3 that was flat. Then all of a sudden they had a big fourth quarter in 1989, but then a trend down that lasted 5 years. And what I think happened was people looked and realized that if everybody's saying recession, if everybody's saying that prices may slide, and some of this great progress that we've made, if that stuff holds true today, then the best time for a seller to adjust and sell is now, because the market is still relatively hot. Yes, they're not going to get 150,000 more than the last person, and they might get 100,000 less, like you said, than the last guy. But what does the outlook look like, and how can you extrapolate those numbers? Houses are still going to sell. You know what I mean? In the great times, there was, there was, in Ontario, there's 60,000 in the worst time homes sold. In the best time, there's 110,000. In average, there's around 100,000. And I don't have these numbers exact. In Canada, it's 500,000 is, I think, about the median. We were up to 680,000. Maybe it'll go down to 400,000. I still am happy if you guys sell 400,000 homes next year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And actually, Kev, this is a great, I don't know who was asking yesterday, but that little peak right there is 1989, but exactly what you said. You had those 5 years of decline there, and then it took, I think it took
2002. Yeah, 2002 was when you got back to that price. That's 13 years. So telling your sellers, if you don't want to sell for the next 13 years, then you're okay. But if you are thinking about it,
having this in your listing presentation is a great tool for convincing sellers. You don't think it can get worse? Yes, it can. And we look back on historical data. I want to just pull Margaret just into the conversation. One of the things, especially when it comes to what Kevin and I are talking about, you know, the time in the market, you've seen different things, different recessions kind of react. Margaret, two questions. Number one, how is this market, from your standpoint, as you're entering into, how is it different than other recessions that you've seen in the past? And again, just so everybody's aware, and I think everybody is aware, Margaret is a multiple Centurion award winner. So when she talks about her experiences, it's, I'm not going to say how many years you've been in the business, but you've definitely been in the business a long time. It's one we need to listen up to because you've got that experience. So what, I guess, number one, how is it different, but how is it similar as well too? Just like what are you feeling right now as we're going into this kind of slowdown versus in previous recessions?
I think the biggest thing is when you watch agents, you know, when that market was crazy, everybody was so busy. You didn't have to go out and prospect and look for your listings. You sort of tripped on the next one as they were happening. Buyers were coming from everywhere. And now you wake up feeling unemployed some mornings because you don't know where your next listing or sale is going to come from. But so I might be the oddity here, but I like the market that we're going into now way better than what we came out of. I think it's easier to talk to your clients and say, don't look at it as, oh my God, I should have sold 6 months ago. I would have got that much money. Now you can actually say, yeah, you're going to get less, but you're going to spend less. And you're going to be able to do the whole transaction, both selling and buying, in a much more relaxed, informed, way better pace. It means we have to go back to work, though, at marketing, prospecting, back to basics. That's how I see it, back to basics.
I like that, Margaret. And again, the Orangeville office is really grateful for your experience and your wisdom that you give every single day. You're doing a wonderful job up there. So thank you for that. Back to our little prez here. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I've already kind of gone through and put in some points to each one of these. I'm sure every single person has heard of a SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities and threats? Again, Kevin and I are always kind of talking about various points of these throughout the year and always putting action behind this. I will send out this presentation just as a slide, but even if you guys can write down right now, just on a piece of paper, strength, weakness, opportunities, identify it real quick. I mean, it takes less than a couple minutes to really identify those. These are strengths, weaknesses, opportunities from a brokerage standpoint. I was kind of trying to pull in from an agent standpoint, but these are just examples of what's going on. But these are actually really good points. And Kev and I, we talk about, you know, being one of the largest brands in the world, Century 21, for the longest amount of time as far as the organized franchise system, the history of Century 21. When the market gets volatile and sellers become fearful, they are absolutely going to be now looking, as Margaret just mentioned, they're going to be looking at who's the best person to sell my house, not just the person, but what's the brand, because they're going to fall back on that. In 2021, you can stick your sign in the lawn from, you know, Canadian Tire, you know, just scratch out garage sale and say house for sale. And that's how easy it was to sell a house. And not to put any of our top sellers down, but it is a more pleasurable market as a listing agent to sell in when I'm entering into this sort of a market, especially with a brand right behind me, being number 19 in the world, Century 21 Millennium. Ongoing training, support, mentorship, our 5 offices. This is a big one right now for sellers to be considering as they're moving up north or in and around the areas. Real great advantages there. Our average count. These are just examples, right? And so I hope you guys, with your business, what are your strengths? One of the strengths I've noticed locally with agents, if you have been farming an area for the last 3 or 4 years, let's say, you have been winning in this market in the last 3 to 5 months. Would you agree with that? Anybody like kind of echo that right now? I see Louis Camara. he is getting flooded right now with listings. And the reason for that is he has been a consistent farmer, flyers every month, community every month. So now that the time is here and people are like, oh, I need to really grab someone that I can trust that's part of the community, they're going to Lewis, right? I see that with Holly Parks. I see that with other agents who are really investing. Do you see that, Kev, as well too in your local area?
Definitely, and I said and heard that, this will be a skill-based transition, and that helps a lot. And I always say, use the tools that we are providing for you, and some of those strengths are what you're listing right there, and utilize the strength of the company, the connection, into Toronto. I mean, our position in Toronto is top 2%. These are the things that sellers want to hear. I think, yes, it's a real opportunity, more so than ever, to be the source of the information. And the more that you can be that, the more trusted that you are. And when people are a little uneasy, it's going to be the experts that they're going to want to hire.
Yeah, I love it. It was really hard for me and it's always hard for me to identify my weaknesses because I stay away from them. So I don't want to talk about my weaknesses. But hey, we do have, there's always areas of improvement, right? You can look at market conditions, although I have no control over that. Okay, you really want to focus on things that are items that you can control. One thing, and this is not a criticism, but I will say, I see, especially again over the last 5 years, if you're a new agent, you've really benefited from social media platforms. You've benefited, as we've always instructed you, focusing on that sphere of influence. But one thing that is a weakness I see across the board generally is agents are not spending enough money in their local marketing dollars. This is a marketing business. Make no mistake, you don't sell that house. The market comes and purchases that house. We are the conduits, we are the advisors, we are the ones informing it. Are there things we can do that? Yeah, of course there is. But what do we control? We really control our marketing efforts. And this is one weakness I can truly reflect. Like, can we do more in this area? Yeah, we can. And again, if there's little thoughts, anybody want to kind of chime in here, weaknesses within your business, by all means, this is kind of like brainstorming session here. As far as opportunities go, I do see there is a complacency of agents who have, again, if you're in the business in the last 5 years, the concept, who's moved my cheese? I have no idea where my business is coming from, as Margaret has kind of identified. You were just kind of sitting there and the deals were coming in. Well, now you got to go out there and you got to make the calls. There are people that are not built to do that sort of thing right now, which is frankly an opportunity for you. If you've got the courage, because it does take courage to go out and prospect for new business, this is an opportunity for you as other agents. Kev, I know you got ideas. What other opportunities are in the marketplace right now?
Well, I had a couple things just on both strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities that.
Oh, you're putting it on that? Okay.
Is that, veterans have been through this, was one thing I was going to touch on. But they need to remember what they did and the steps through that. And I think Margaret talked a little bit to that. The weaknesses, most new agents, there's a lot of new agents that have come along. Josee has never been through a recession. You know what I mean? She started at the end of the financial crisis, and it's only been going up. So we've had a lot of conversations around that. And I think there's a lot of agents out there that are scared. And that can be internally. And for the ones that are internally concerned about the market, that we've got you. Come to us, talk to the veterans, talk to the people that have been through it. And that's going to be an integral part. But realize that your competitors, like I see competitors ramping up their marketing already in our areas and starting new and very aggressive initiatives. So don't just watch that. You've got to have your own plan and you've got to work that plan. And then you were talking about conditions.
Well, this wasn't even going to be with the SWOT. Sorry, I was writing notes for myself just to mention later on.
She writes a note and then I steal the idea. You know, and this is why poor Josee doesn't.
No, I'm just thinking while this is going on, like some of the new agents haven't even seen the benefits of having conditions. Conditions is actually a good thing sometimes, because this past, let's just say you started in the past 2 years, the only thing you've seen is firm offer is a good offer. Well, when you start putting conditions like a financing condition for 2 weeks, which was the norm for us, home inspection condition for a week, which used to be the norm for us, like we had all the conditions in ours. And at the end of that 2 weeks, both the seller and the buyer are very comfortable purchasing that house. And that's a good thing. Everyone's happy at the end, instead of having the pressure that used to be there with the firm offer and trying to make all the pieces fit. And that's something that I think a lot of the new agents need to learn, that when you're presenting an offer, it's not a bad thing that there's conditions. They just want to check all the boxes. Your buyers want to know that they can afford that house. Your buyers want to know that there's nothing wrong with the house, and they have that advantage now a little bit.
And also with conditions, as a seller's agent, we used to really pick apart those conditions, and we used to really ask a lot of qualifying questions of the buyer's agent to make sure that they didn't have a financing, you know, were they pre-approved? You know what I mean? Like sometimes they may be liars, you know what I mean? But, you know, in the same sense, trying to interview the agents presenting, or maybe even getting back to the days when we actually had presentations, even via Zoom now with this technology. We used to sit and have, you know, 5 or 6 people come in if it was multiple offers, and you'd have multiple offers even with conditions back not too many years ago. But having said that, you know, being able to look at an offer and understand those conditions and make sure that you're doing the best job for your seller and asking the right questions is a skill that a lot of people don't necessarily have. And I think that you know, is something that we're really going to have to work on. And, you know, again, we've got the training, we've got the support. You've got a great group of a diverse number of agents that can also help you, but you know, we're here to help with that growth, and know that your competitors may not be prepared for that.
Yep.
And I'd like to add, Josee, I'm really glad that you brought up about conditions being a good thing, and how new people actually haven't seen those kind of offers. I was actually on the phone this morning at, I had the chief officer at RICO responding at 5:24 this morning to one of the legal cases we have. And I was on the phone with her at 7:15 working things out. And her comment to me was, oh my God, I have to start my day at 5 o'clock to keep up with the volumes of cases that have gone into RICO, and most of it becomes because of firm deals. Agents on both sides have not had the time to do the due diligence that they need to do to keep their, whether it's your seller or your buyer, to keep them protected. So again, you will hear from the more mature agent in the groups that we like a market where there is time to do due diligence, there is time to explain the processes to your sellers and your buyers, and it will mean you know, less legal cases and complaint cases against you. So there's always pros and cons in every marketplace.
Yeah. And man, I don't want to harp on this point, but if you're double ending the deal, make sure you get those conditions in. Like almost, I don't want to do a deal, a double-ended deal, which you're going to be motivated to because it's double commission. And hey, Trevor, yeah, I'm not getting the same commission as I was last year, but just make sure you're getting those conditions in. And if not, if it's a firm deal, don't forget Form 127, right? If you're going firm on any deal, we do Form 127 so that the buyer is fully aware. But I still think, as Josee really started that point, conditions are a good thing for so many reasons along the board as well too. Kev, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I was going to add, from the seller agent position, do your due diligence, really go through these properties. If you have a hot property that you know you might get into multiple offers, because there's so much, there's extra pressure, there's extra layers with the talk on the news and on all that, you know, going through and doing a checklist is something that I got to say, I got sloppy with for a little while, and in this new position, you know what I mean? We've really seen the benefit and seen the results of not doing it, asking those questions, making sure you're documenting it, sending the seller a little email saying, hey, we had a great meeting today. I'm really excited to sell your house. Just want to clarify that, you know, I mean, you've never had water damage in the basement. You've never had, you know, this and that, and get them to reply to you and say, yes, that's all correct. And this is the correct, you know, stuff. You know, I understand the SPIS and the trouble around them, but having something similar from, you know, covering your own butt and just making sure that you've had some communication, you've asked all the right questions. If you don't know them, there's some great stuff on Century 21 about, you know, I mean, getting sellers ready. I think there is a great questionnaire that I've seen there to walk through with your seller in order to make sure that you're asking all those questions, and then find some way, even if it's just an email, to send that to them and say, I just want to make sure I got everything right. You know, you don't have to be questioning them. I just want to make sure I got everything right and I didn't make any mistakes. And they get a reply and say, yes, that's true. Then something happens, you know what I mean? At least you've taken the correct steps.
Yeah, and these are all good points for threats within our business. We got to be very aware of right now. There's a target on the back of every real estate agent on any transaction. So that's a whole session on its own, guys. So hopefully, if there's like, I'll send these out, and then you can kind of add to them on your specific analysis on your business. But as far as action goes, from some of those SWOT analysis points there, and very quickly, because I got 10 minutes left of the call, I'm just going to throw these up here. As far as action, this is an action business. There is nobody on this call that can convince me. And I heard someone make this point the other day. I don't remember who it was, but if you get on the phone and you make 50 dials today, if you go out and you knock on 50 doors today, if you do that every single day for 30 days, you're going to see a ton of business. You're going to have a lot of people that you can market to, and that will turn into business. Action is what this business is all about. So on the marketing side of things, this is my first point that I want to bring up. Make sure you're doing the marketing. And I'm being general with some of my points here. Identifying, working with your sphere of influence. We know that 90% of most agents' business comes from the sphere of influence. Social media is a part of that. It's just a new way to communicate and be top of mind every moment of every single day. People are a little intimidated by some of these, you know, stories and TikTok, and because you're not maybe charismatic, or you think that's the case, but it doesn't matter, because it's still your sphere of influence that wants to see you speak. So you got to convey your competence in your story, reinvesting back into your farm areas, touching on the pop buys. I don't see a lot of that these days as well too. Setting up, and there's so much more that you can do there. On the competence side of things, this is something that both Kevin and I are constantly talking back and forth. Josee is what we're all going back and forth. CMAs. I think this is the nucleus of every transaction on the sell side, on the buy side. If you don't know how to properly do those adjustments and speak to that, that's what the seller is buying from you. Your knowledge of how this is going to be framing up against the other comparables and where it's going to price at, if it's going to appraise. So that's a big one. The listing presentations, total listing kit. I'm going to pitch that all day long. And then market research update stories, YouTube. Get your story out there. Show your knowledge. And then the last but not least, but your mindset. This is probably the first thing you got to get right anyways. You know, I watch Kevin and Josee as business owners of their real estate transactions, and with the brokerage as well too. They have a really wonderful balance of life. And it's not something to be critical of. It's something to admire and work towards. You can be efficient when doing deals on the beach. You can be efficient when you're on the boat. How many times, Kev, have you done your Tuesday meetings from the boat? You know what? That's balance of life. That's what we're doing it for. Enjoying the time that we have with our agents, with our clients, and with our loved ones as well too. So we've got to find that balance. It's something, frankly, I struggle with, and I know most of you guys struggle with this as well too. So I should have put that first. Mindset should have been first. Okay, whatever. Set those goals, feed your mind, and make sure you block schedule these things to happen. Again, Kevin, Josee, you guys are doing a wonderful job. Lots of scheduling your not just your business, but your lifestyles and the people within your business that make it work. So so I'll put those points on the presentation. How much time we got here, guys? Again, I feel like I'm rushing now, but we got 5 minutes left. Kevin, these are your award winners for the North operations. I'll kind of guide through, but I'll let you speak and I'll stop talking for a moment.
No, that's great. Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to recognize them. We are going to be meeting you all in the park tomorrow, and we'll have the bottles of wine for you. Go ahead. Let's get into our top team, Greg Sirota team, number 2, Jen Schulte team, and number 3, the Georgian Bay team. Always a very contentious competition there. But congratulations on the first half of the year, Greg Sirota, and being in the number 1 position. And I really want to say congratulations. I know she's on the call. Number 1 in the Collingwood office is Krista Bradley. We've worked together a lot. She's a newer agent. She's been really busting her butt. I know she had a lot of things come together really well at the beginning of this year, and we've had some great conversation, but she's worked so very hard these last 2 years. And to see her in that position 6 months in, I'm really, really proud of her. William Ballard in the Collingwood office, sitting over here at the front desk. Congrats, you know what I mean? Tremendous working, what a wealth of knowledge in new home sales and everything that he's been working on and in resale, coming over from the Midland area. So expanding back into there and working with a group of agents now. I'm really proud to see him in number 2. Connie Thompson, steady and always good, number 3. Deb Fiddler, number 4, and Lisa Scott, number 5. Great work for all of you guys. Congratulations.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. And Kevin Smith, another new person to the number one office position. Margaret, no offense, I know you're a strong producer, but Kevin, I'm proud to see you take that spot for 6 months in. Very unique business, great commercial guy. Really proud of his efforts, and I'm really thankful that he chose to join Century 21 in his long career. Margaret, number 2, Terry Burley, number 3, Deb Griffin, who just popped off the thing. She's going to watch the recording, but she's going to have a shot for me at the bar because she's in Cuba. But she was on the call for the first half, but she said, is this recorded? And I said, yeah. She said, okay, I'm going back to the pool. But great job, Deborah Griffin. And Neil Fiti, always working hard there, number 5. Great job. Stan Belgic, as you know, our new home division, although the new homes are sold, pretty much sold out. So, he's doing a lot of resale and pivoting in his business as well. Still sitting in the number 1 position. Eva, who you heard from today, a tremendous producer. I'm so proud of her and so happy to have her on our team in the number 2 position. Helen Kimball, also on the call today. Congratulations, Helen. You have consistent, strong production, a really, really great job. Lauren Bull, also a great job at number 4, and Krista Clancy, always working hard in the Meaford sort of area with Doug Slane, a lot of deals there, but congratulations to you 5. Great job.
Whoop, whoop.
And we'd like to do this up north. I know this isn't a down south thing, but our top 21, just to look at the 3 offices all combined together there. What
don't
a
need
great
to go
group.
through all.
Nope, I won't go
We
through
will
all of them.
tomorrow.
She'll shut me up. It's very good. I don't want to take up all your time, but congratulations, everyone. We'll be posting that online.
Yeah, congratulations, everyone. That's
Well done. Well done.
That's quite the bar that your team has set up there.
Yeah, Daniel, how are you?
Okay, I just muted that line. All good. So in Brampton, I'll go through this quickly. Congratulations, our top team, Mary Caitlin Klein. Congratulations to you. And number 2, the CASA team. Always stellar performances from these 2 groups. Congratulations to you both. Our top 21 in Brampton. This is, again, this is a fascinating year. It's really changed up from last year, but you got Kyle in number 1 position, Parth just crushing it. I still can't look at Parth as anything but a new agent, but yeah, time flies, but he's done an amazing job in the last 4 or 5 years that he's been in the business. So congratulations, Parth. Aisha, amazing to see you in this position, again, with this crew here as well too. And Ricky, Lorraine, Aaron, Norm, Congratulations to all of you and everybody on this list. Everybody here is really crushing it. Everybody here is really working hard in the first 6 months of the year. So congratulations to you all. Again, this is representing deals that have been closed as of June 30th. Okay. So I know that this is going to change quite a bit because there's a lot of closings after July 1st, let's say. So this is as of June 30th, closed deals, okay? As far as Orangeville, Margaret, I'd love you to kind of share because this is your crew here. So I'll let you say a few words.
Okay, so the teams, the Mayor Harmon team in first place, Local Home Finder in second, and the Right Key team in third place. Great effort. These teams are all full-time working hard. It's friendly competition here, but it's ongoing. It's good. For the sales in first place, Leslie. Second, Karen. Is Karen on the call? I don't think so. Third, Jacqueline. Fourth, Tony. And fifth for Carrie Cunningham. Great work. It looks like a girls' club here, but it is.
It is a girls' club up there.
It is a girls' club in Orangeville.
Congratulations to all.
Yeah, the women are crushing it.
They are. They really
the Orangeville office, I love going up there. It's so weighted one way. It's a lot of females in the office and powerful performers there. And then the teams as well, too. Like every time I can't get a parking spot when I come up there because the teams are so strict and so disciplined with their prospecting, their meetings. So it's a wonderful energy office. Love that office. And so congratulations to everyone there. How are we doing for time? We're past 1 minute, Kev, but I do want to say Kevin has really spearheaded the new website for Century 21 Millennium. Let's see if I can kind of pull it up here. Here is the website. If you haven't already seen it, you come into our website here. Great video in the background. How your user experience has just been completely heightened, and he has just done an absolute wonderful job. Him and Josee have done a wonderful job there. I mean, I just all I did was say approve at the end of an email request, but that was about it.
Yes, big thank you, Kevin and Josee. It's just remarkable. This is what we've been waiting for, and you've accomplished it. It's wonderful.
Yeah. And
Take
what's
the time,
cool is,
everyone, to go through your websites now and appreciate what's on there because it's spectacular.
This is really the building block in the beginning, but it's good that we finally have some of these metrics that we're going to be able to expand on. So this is the company site, and this is the company site based off of other brokerages. So what I'm really proud of, I guess I'll say, is that based on direct traffic, based on social media, I mean, the structural stuff that we've been working on for a long time, I'm now able to measure it. And this is in comparison to all other brokerages in Ontario, and I can compare it against other brokerages in Canada and see how we're doing. And I'm very happy at the numbers where we're at because we haven't even, you know, we've built all the infrastructure, and now we're really starting to focus in. And Lauren and Sandy are on a monthly call that they're expanding on this, and we're really looking at where we rank and how we can get better. And then that is going to continue to be, you know, assimilated down into the agents' sites. So we're, you know, it's ongoing work. It's in the background. Thank you for bringing it up. Thank you for the accolades. But I mean, it's something that we all talked about at a management meeting. Josee and I decided that we would be the bulls of the China store to try and roll that ball forward. And I'm pretty happy with how we're competing against our competitors. So now it's a matter of raising the bar and starting to get more, organic traffic and connecting the dots. So.
Excellent. Hey guys, thanks for your patience on this call. We got a lot of stuff out there. And this was definitely a different kind of call. I know Kevin has a lot more engaging calls with a lot of you, but and for our first call today, there was just so much to get out. As we got closer with the recognition, market stats, etc. So again, thanks everybody for coming out today. I'll post this video if you want to watch it again, which may not. But again, good luck for the rest of this week. We will be doing our Wisdom Wednesday every other week. So I'll stay tuned for those updates. And I'm not sure, Kev, are you doing yours every week or are you staggering it now every other?
I'm taking your lead and we're taking August off. So July 26th will be the last meeting and the next one will be September 6th. We are going to be sending out our weekly sales and all of those updates for sales, firm, closed, and new listings to keep everybody point of mind for that. And yeah, I too just want to thank everybody, 74 people on this call. I love it. I love seeing you guys all together and recognize a great contingent from the north and a great contingent from Brampton and Orangeville. So I'm really happy to meet you guys. Some of you have been starting to reach out to me. I'm always happy to connect you. If you don't know someone up north and you've got a particular type of buyer, so reach out. I'll connect you to one of these great agents and we'll continue to work together. So
vice versa, Kev, give us some leads every once in a while though too, eh?
Yeah, you know what? With our healthcare system, we're starting to see some elderly people heading back to the city because they need better healthcare. So you're going to see that trend, I think, over the next 5 years as well. So definitely going to do that.
Awesome. Hey guys, thanks again. We will
great to see everyone. See you in a couple of weeks.
Good day.
Bye.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.